Stories are walking through the valley of the shadow of death. My name is Osadmebi, and every week I usually tell you a short story written by a Nigerian writer or author. But this is series week, where I tell you a story over the course of 2 to 7 consecutive days. Basically, however long it takes to complete the story. Series week will occur once a quarter, and the stories featured will still be written by Nigerian writers and authors, but will either consist of a sequence of related episodes from one story or a set of stories linked by a common theme. That's the long and short of it. So without much ado, today's story is by Solomon Hamza, and it's the second part of the story titled, We Do Not Belong to the Water. Catch up on yesterday's episode for part 1 and listen in tomorrow for part 3.
I woke up. My shirt so wet that for a moment I thought I was actually in the sea. I made the sign of the cross and sighed. A voice, completely devoted and unaware of me jerking awake, rambled on. You will eat bread until you return to the ground, for from it you were taken, and to the dust you shall return. The owner of the voice was the man who wore a well-ironed plain pair of trousers and insisted we pray for about 20 minutes before the journey started. He was seated at the front row of the truck, his head bent over an open Bible, completely devoted to his reading. Except for the voice of the man and the noise the truck made, the motor was completely peaceful. Even the chatty man in the faded AC Milan jersey, who had been talking about visiting the city of Milan and watching live matches at the San Siro, had suddenly become quiet. There were 16 of us in the truck together, with our belongings lying around with our names fastened on them. 5 other trucks were at our back and 3 in our front. I looked sideways and found my younger brother, Chimaobi, sleeping soundly beside me, resting his head on his back. He had hardly slept in the daytime ever since our journey from Katsina to Maradi, the southern part of Niger Republic, started. I was glad he was starting to get his peace back. It's just a matter of time, my dear brother. The country we had left behind had erased more names off the face of the earth than any pandemic could ever dream. It clings with the efficiency of the wind to writings on the background, leaving no trace behind. Exactly the same way the sandstorm here in the desert covers footpaths and vehicle tracks. It was better to die in a foreign land than to remain in continuous hardship in my country. Tufiakwa.
You still have saliva to waste?
I turned to the voice that had distracted my thoughts. It was the tall, dark-skinned boy who Chimaobi had nudged me at the beginning of our journey in Maradi to tell me he looked like Akuma. Because I didn't want to think about Akuma, I shrugged it off and said, Mbano, this malnourished person cannot look like Akuma. Chi, it's like your eyes have started to fail you. But looking at him closely now, I could not help but notice the close resemblance between them. Even the way his eyes were twitching as he was smiling at me. I looked away, and my eyes settled on the vast sand dunes stretching and stretching until they met with the sky. I had read about the Sahara Desert in school being the largest desert in the world. It was larger than large. Is this not the desert that became grave to many? This desert, the size of 5 countries.
You woke up cursing. Was it a bad dream?
The Akuma-looking guy continued. He was in a chatty mood, and seeing that we were the only ones awake, I just had to give in to his conversation advances.
No, I usually wake up like that if I didn't sleep comfortably. Oh.
He looked up as if he was trying to decipher what I had just said to him.
I thought it was a bad dream. The place I went to get my juju. One woman there had a bad dream, and the herbalist told her to cancel her journey. Look, I cannot talk now. I have serious headache. Okay, sorry bro. And I do not have Panadol here with me.
I waved him off.
No need, thank you.
I looked everywhere, but not at him, trying my best to avoid staring at the corpses and sun-bleached skeletons laid like discarded waste on the streets. Some had turned gaunt, covered with sand, with only ribs left to the glare of eyes. I had stopped counting when I got to 25. My heart suddenly became too heavy for my chest, and my breathing was difficult. Chimaobi sobbed quietly beside me until his eyes became crimson red like blood.
Solomon Hamza is a Nigerian writer who resides in Nasarawa State. He is a teacher, historian, and environmentalist. Connect with Solomon on X at st_Hamza001, on Instagram at st_IDAH001, and on Facebook at Solomon Hamza King. Details and links will be in the episode description. If you've got a story you would like to be featured on this podcast, or a published book you want to make into an audiobook, I would love to hear from you. Send an email to info@osademebi.com or send me a message at osademebi on either Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, or X. I look forward to collaborating with you. And if you've enjoyed this week's episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with that one person you know will enjoy listening. Tell them that stories are a good escape for a few minutes each week.